Greetings, loyalists and heretics. Welcome to Iron and Ceramite, where we once again enter the war without an Astropath.
Hi everyone, welcome back to the Iron and Ceramite podcast. My name's John and I'm joined as always by Shane.
Hi everyone.
Tom.
Hi guys.
And Dave.
Hi guys.
So before we get into it, for the benefit of you guys listening, we're going to try out a format for the show for the time being and we'll see how that goes. Each episode we're going to start off with a bit of a hobby catch up and have a chat and see what we've all been doing since the last time we spoke. And then we'll work out some topics as we go through the show. So getting that out of the way, what's everyone been working on since the last time we spoke on here?
So, I suppose for those of you that have watched any of the book reviews, I've been talking about how I've been working my way through the Thousand Suns. So I finished that off, and then immediately jumped into 15 hours, and also managed to get that done. But as I said, that's quite a short book, so a bit of a change of pace. And it was also one that I had to read rather than get the audio book, because I've been working through the audio books rather than reading them, where I've been lazy. But I actually read 15 hours, really enjoyed it. Won't go into it now because we will have a book review with all four of us on that, hopefully, Dave.
Fingers crossed.
And then painting-wise, still working my way through the Firstborn original cast Blood Claw pack, which has inspired my background today. And obviously, I'm trying to get them done, but it's slow going. I think I'm up to about 8 now, so I've got 4 more to go.
Nice.
They look cool though, I must admit. I do like them old figures. There's something, I don't know, something that's not there in the new figures for me.
Yeah.
It's some sort of, I don't know, character with them. I love the chainsaws as well. They're like 9 feet long. They're like they are taller than a moon, aren't they?
Yeah.
It's crazy.
It was ridiculous. I was looking at it afterwards, and I was like, "Is that really how big they should be?" But it was like, some of them are still the original plastic weapons that came in that original cast set, and it is really weird looking at those little lead models, because some of them are so crisp, but I could see where some of the criticism used to come from them, because I'd get 2 models exactly the same. One of the details is really crisp, and one of the others, like, it's all blended in, and you don't know where the lines are and what you should be painting. So I get why people struggle with them. It's been a challenge, but I've loved doing it. But I am looking forward to getting onto some of the Primaris that I've got that seem so far away, given my backlog of my pile of shame that I've got to get through. But
how big's your pile of shame?
So after this, I've got a list of what I want to go through. So after this, I've got my Wolf Guard. I want to get them done. Then after the Wolf Guard, I've got the Combat Patrol box, and then after the Combat Patrol box, I've got the Indomitus set Blade Guard veterans that I want to kit bash up to be a bit more wolfy. And then after that, I've got my then I've got the Intercessors and the Primaris Assault Squad. So
what have you got in mind for the kit bashing to make them more wolfy? Heads or shoulder pads? Or
yeah, I've got heads, I've got shoulder pads, I've got a load of wolf tails, and then I'm going to take off the shields you get as standard with the Indominus ones, and I've got some storm shields that came with the Wolf Guard set. So the Wolf Guard Terminator set is great for kit bashing because they give you so much extra. So I think I've already got enough to get it quite wolfy. The only other bit that I've seen a lot of people do online is get some of the green stuff out and make a few wolf pelts and stuff like that. I'm a bit worried about that because I don't know if I'm quite there with my.
I'll be honest, I tried that, mate, with the green stuff. There was an idiot's guide on how to make like fur, and I couldn't do it. I've got like chubby fingers, but it is actually quite difficult working with that stuff, mate. It'll take a good while to get used to it. Have you actually used it at all before?
No, that's what I mean, and I'm worried that I don't want to try it because I think I could get the conversion and kit bash it fine without it. So that's what I might do just for safety's sake, just to get it done.
What about you, John? What are you working on?
At the minute, I'm working on my Plague Burst Crawler. I've done the bulldozer at the front and the cannon, and that's about it. I've just finished Typhus, and for the first time, I've actually done something with the base other than just smear Armageddon dust on it. I've treated myself to some patches of grass and some barbed wire, so I've stuck a bit of that on there. bit of typhus corrosion on the barbed wire, but I'll probably still fiddle with them and go back to all of them. I've got a few. My Mephitic Blight Hauler, I want to go back on and give it a wash.
How
And
many
do
have
it up
you
a
got
bit.
again, John?
I've got one built and two boxed up, ready to go. But the one that I built, it still looks very clean because I was quite happy with the paint job and I didn't want to dirty it up. But obviously, it doesn't fit in with everything else because everything else is filthy.
That's the whole point of it, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm about halfway through my Plague Burst Crawler. I'm actually quite enjoying doing that. And to have a bit of armor that's actually going to take you guys out before you can get near me is going to be quite handy once we figure out how to play it properly.
Well, that's if you haven't
theory.
That's if you haven't used all your points on Pox Boys.
Well, yeah, I mean,
tempted. I know he's tempted.
I am tempted. I've only got 100 now. The points have changed. I've only got 110 points worth of Poxwalkers, so I might treat myself to another 300 or 400 points worth.
Don't you need like 20 of them in a squad to make them worth having?
Probably depends. I haven't seen the new codex yet. I think it was before they were like you could have 20 in a squad or something like that. You could have quite a few. But yeah, they'd be good, and their toughness has gone up as well. So I might just flood the board with them and have two Plague Burst Crawlers in the background,
like a zombie apocalypse game.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And then going back to books, I just finished Mechanicum the other day, which I really enjoyed. It took me we'll review it. It took me a while to get into it, but then once I sort of sat down and just cracked on with it, it's really good.
Yeah.
I know it's another one of them ones with mixed reviews where people love it or people thought it was a bit too much, but yeah, no, it's another good one.
I think for me, without going into it too deeply, I was similar to you. I think I just didn't give it enough of a chance. Maybe I got in. It took a while to get into. By the point where I was sort of getting into it, I was like, well, it's like 3/4 of the way through now. You know what I mean? I was already in that mindset of it's a little bit boring, so I just sort of got through it quickly and didn't pay any attention. But yeah, it's a well-written book, definitely. Yeah. I might have to read that again now.
I would. I think the hardest part is because you just have to sort of set yourself up. You're basically in a completely new world. You have to try and, if you don't, like me, I have no idea. So I had to try and figure out and sort of do a bit of Googling, all the stuff to do with Mars and the Mechanicum, sort of figure out what certain things were. And then you're just it's like learning another universe and then try and expect the story to carry on.
Yeah. That's a good idea, man. I should probably have done the same thing as you. Just keep going through all the characters, maybe on Google and that, and finding out, what certain roles that they have and do and all that. But I was way too lazy, to be honest. But
it's like a few of the books in that series, though, isn't it? Because it's like literally just reading Thousand Suns now. It pays off so much context for the earlier books that you think, like when you first read. We talked about it when Magnus first pops up in. Not Galaxy in Flames. What's the one? False Gods.
False Gods, yeah.
You're like, you don't know anything about him if you're new to the series. You're like, who is this dude? Who's Magnus? You might know he's his brother, and then you read Thousand Suns, and it all kind of slots into place. It's a bit like the Mechanicum, but the other way around. Like a lot of stuff in Mechanicum will pay off in the books that follow it. So it is definitely worth a re-going over.
Yeah, and then the other stumbling block I have is the names are just really hard for me to remember, so I'm constantly going back to the front. Every other chapter, I'm like, I don't even try. If you've seen the other videos, I just say it.
Oh, yeah.
How I read it in my head. Well, it's all right. Shane's got the luxury of having it read to him.
He's a cheater. That's the way to do it.
What about you, Dave? What have you been working on?
Since the last podcast, I've done a lot more models. So at Christmas, I got a lot of Primaris, and I was just sort of been cracking on with getting them built. A few of them are now primed, and I've painted the first one, which is my Primaris Chaplain. So I'm really happy with him, really happy with how he's come out because I put a lot of time in. I've got a lot of new paints at Christmas as well. So I've actually been trying to use them, try a few different bits and bobs. And to be fair, I'm actually really happy with how he's come out. But the other ones, I think I'm just going to see how they go because I've got the Captain in Phobos armor, Lieutenant in Phobos armor, Squad of Eliminators, Aggressors, Suppressors, Squad of Reavers, 2 squads of intercessors, and some infiltrators. So I've got a lot to be getting on with. Half of them are primed, and that's pretty much it. I've read a little bit of 15 hours, but not as much as you guys, evidently. But other than that, I think I've just been trying to crack on with, obviously, everything that I've got. I got a bit carried away with it all and built it all, and then thought, actually, probably should have left some of this apart because it's going to make painting a lot easier. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see how it goes.
Do you prefer putting it all together before you even prime them then?
Yeah.
Really?
I just like the phase that I enjoy the most is the cutting out and building. I enjoy that more than the painting or any other part. So I sort of get a bit carried away.
Life, isn't it? So
like
you actually
and
the poses and
and you can get them how you want them as well. Because obviously, there is a few sort of different ways you can do it, but I think that once you decide what you want to do and you get them built how you want them built, and you give them that character that you want from each of the models, then that's when they start coming alive, like you say. So, and yeah, I think painting's very much second for me because I know I'm never going to be one of these people who paints them amazingly well. So I'll spend a lot more time on the lieutenant and the captain, but other than that, I think it's very much going to be contrast paints and batch paint and hope for the best. So.
Your chaplain looks great. Like his cape or his cloak, whatever it is that solid? Yeah. Because it looks with the leather, it looks like it you could move it. It looks really good.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's quite soft to where it is, but yeah, I'm actually really happy with that. And again, that is literally just contrast paint. I can't say that's my good painting skills. It's literally just
you were the one that put the paint on the model. That's all.
Yeah, it's a good point. Yeah, good point. Well made.
Yeah,
you can't remember that though. You had a lot of rum the other night, didn't you, Dave?
Yeah, So it's you the other day as well.
Don't know what you're talking about. What colour? One thing I was going to ask you actually, in regards to your chaplain model, what colour did you use for the ribs? Just like the bone sort of colour.
So started off with Wraith bone, and then I can't remember exactly which one I used. I think I highlighted with one of the white layer paints, but I can't remember the name of it. Yeah. And then went over it with Agrax Earthshade as well to make sure that the recesses were quite well filled in.
I think that's what I need to get then, that Wraith bone stuff, because that does look, it really pops on that model.
Yeah, definitely, yeah. And it doesn't take much to layer over it to make it come alive a bit more as well, because I didn't put huge amounts of effort into it because I didn't want to muck it up. So, and it did make it come. I think in person it looks even better. It's just that I've got an absolutely awful camera and you can't show it as well. But the layer paints, I haven't explored them as much because I didn't have any, and I got a lot for Christmas. And they really do make the model pop a lot more because I tried it on the gun as well, on his pistol. So I tried layering with the reds on there, and it makes it pop that much more, and it makes the rest of the model look a lot better than it would otherwise. So I think that I'm definitely going to keep trying doing that, especially with the better models as well.
Yeah.
What have you been up to?
Oh, go ahead. Sorry,
no, go on.
I was going to say, how are you getting on with the palette pad? I know you were going to get that.
Yeah, you were right. Pilot shit, isn't it? Yeah, no, it's awful. I don't see the point in it. Waste of time. It's just going to be something that I'm just going to pop a bit of paint on.
Is that basically it? It's just paper, pretty much, or what?
It's like
shiny paper.
Like gloss paper.
Like paper or something.
No,
just gloss paper.
I think the only reason that it comes is obviously when you want to thin your paints a little bit.
Yeah.
That's the only time that it helps, but it dries so quick that you just do it in very small bits anyway. So,
what's thinning paints? Isn't it just slap it on straight out the tub? That's what I do.
That's what you did, John. That's what you did. You're a better man
now. What is this thinning paints? Oh dear. And we know what you've been up to, Tom. But what have you been up to on the tabletop?
Well, basically, I did my aggressor sergeant, as you guys saw. Literally, I did my first aggressor probably about 6 months ago. Don't know if you guys remember, but I've finally got all 3 done now, ready for the tabletop. So I'll be looking forward to using them against your Terminators, Dave, this time alongside my Blade Guard. I'm holding a grudge about that still. I remember that. But yeah, so I got him done, and then I did my one of my Terminators as well. Still got another 2 of them to do, but been quite slow for me really, because as you know, I got absolutely loaded the other day, and
No.
got 3 of my days, including the hangovers. So yeah, but next on my list is probably the Bowel Predator, because I need some heavy support really, because at the moment I've still only got my Vindicator. Other than that, that's pretty much all I've done so far. Been reading Witch Hunter, good book. It's pretty much, I don't know if you guys have ever read any fantasy, Warhammer fantasy at all.
No.
No.
It's pretty much, you imagine like Eisenhorn, it's pretty much the Inquisitor version of that, in sort of like a fantasy type of Lord of the Rings, if you will, type world. So he goes around looking for heretics and heresy, and obviously there's still the 4 main gods in fantasy. You still got, you know, Nurgle, Khorne, Slanesh, Sinch, however you pronounce that. But yeah. But yeah, it's nice. It's a really good book, so I've enjoyed that. I'm about 2/3 of the way through, I'd say. But it's a trilogy, so I'm definitely going to read the next 2 if it carries on to be this good. But yeah, other than that, not a lot.
Right, that's enough about us for now. So as we've been talking about ourselves for a bit, I think it's only fair and right to start off episode 1 and talk about the rest of the Warhammer community, specifically other creators that have really helped us out and get a grasp and a foothold into Warhammer, or just helped us along when we've needed it. So just to sort of hashtag share the hobby love, to use the old Instagram thing. I think we're going to talk about other YouTubers and podcasts and any other places that we've sort of picked up tips and any other tricks of the trade as we've been going on. So how do you want to start? Do we want to start with, like, go on, Tom?
Well, I got one. I don't know if any of you guys have actually listened to him before. It's a guy called, it's a channel called Goobertown Hobbies on YouTube. It's a guy who's pretty much, he's got this long, like, Albany hair. And he's got this voice like, kind of like Bob Ross from the old painting videos, you know? He's like, hello guys, and welcome to Goobertown Hobbies. And it's like, but he's really good. He's just does basically an idiot's guide for lots of different things. And he's really relaxing to listen to, and he just goes through, just shows you every little nook and cranny of what you can learn in the hobby. And he doesn't even claim to be like a great artist or anything. He just wants to share with people, sort of thing.
Did you see the one he did on varnishing models and priming them and working out what was the best combination?
No, I don't think I haven't actually watched him for a while, to be honest. I haven't watched anyone for a while. But
it was really good. He basically he did an experiment, a setup where it was he took a load of sisters, 40k sisters of battle, painted them. Basically, he said, right, these ones have been undercoated and then painted. These ones have just been painted straight on plastic. These ones have been undercoated, painted, and varnished. And then he ate a load of Funyuns, like onion rings, to get like oil on his finger. And then just spent 5 hours trotting them around a Monopoly board. And then he did it on time lapse, so it was really quick in the video. And then he showed you the damage that the oil had done to each of the minis based on how you'd painted it. It came out that what we should be doing is obviously undercoating, painting, and varnishing our minis to make them as resilient as possible. But I've seen him.
That's something I've started doing recently, varnishing my models with the satin varnish, because I've got all 3. I've tried the matte, the gloss, and the satin. And for me, I've just personal preference. I like the satin because it's sort of it's in between a little bit of shine, but it's matte enough to make it still the colours come through without looking too silly. But I mean, I don't know what you guys go with. Any particular varnish, or do you even use them?
I haven't even used any. No. So I think I might, but I don't know, because obviously mine are all done already, so I've already based all mine. If I then went and varnished them, is that going to cause an issue? I don't know. Is it going to ruin all the grass at the bottom?
I'm not too sure, to be honest, but there is, with you, because you've got quite a lot done, it would take you ages to varnish them by brush, that you can get sprays, but I think they're quite unreliable though. I'm told, or I've heard, that sometimes they mist up the models, especially if it's not at the right heat, or some of the models have got a little bit of dirt on, even a tiny bit of dust that you can't see. then it will start to mist them up. So I don't know if it's worth it, mate, to be honest, but whatever you think.
I'll leave them then. Maybe in the future.
I'm gonna have to look into that because that's never even occurred to me. I didn't even know that was sort of a thing, but it's quite obvious now you think about it. Actually,
It doesn't matter with
protect your
Nurgle,
models.
does it? It
Well,
doesn't
no.
matter with Nurgle. They'll melt and it will look all right.
Yeah, I know, but the bits that look good, I don't want to smudge. The bits that are supposed to look good.
What bits do they look good?
Hey.
Well, leave him alone. He's got grass patches for his bases now.
Yeah, come on, man. I've done.
It's improving.
There's 3 models now with bits of grass on.
Really
I'm
nice.
really pushing the boat out.
Did you have any others, Tommy, other than Goober Town?
I mean, I've got a couple of written down here. I watched, obviously, Duncan Rhodes is a main one everyone would know of anyway.
Yeah.
The ex Games Workshop guy. He's just very, very simple to follow. If you want to look up any of his tutorials, it will literally start from right at the beginning and just boom, 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 boom. And it's, it's just perfect, really, if you're a beginner. I did watch a lot of his videos right when I first started. And if you're just looking to actually learn how to paint and techniques on how to paint, even how to hold the models, then he's probably the best one to go for, I'd say, by a long way.
Similar to Goober Town, there's actually a YouTuber that did a collaboration with him. As a guy called Midwinter Minis. I don't know if you any of that stuff. Yeah. So he covers both painting tips and battle reports, but his battle reports are really basic. So he just does like the start collecting boxes, and he started it in the middle of the last lockdown, where he does like a battle report where it's just the start collecting boxes against each other. It's a really small scale, but before he does the battle report, he'll also do like a painting video on how he's painted them up and techniques he uses. And what he's really good at is he does 2 things really well. He does speed painting, so it's like how to paint a model in an hour, and it's also he uses his grim dark technique, because he likes painting his 40k models grim dark, as he likes to call it. So it's really good quick tips for painting quite quickly, quite simply, but ending up with a really nice model. So he's worth looking at, and he's done videos with Goober Town as well.
What was the name again?
Midwinter Minis.
And he done one for Orcs. He done like over 2,000 points of Orcs, I think it was.
Was that the 24-hour challenge?
Yeah. And it was just, it's really good, really interesting. I think he does, especially if you batch paint or anything like that. I think that a lot of the techniques that he mentions are really helpful. So he's definitely worth checking out as well.
And one of the other ones I watched for painting tips is a Swedish guy called I think it's Age of Squidmar, or it might be Squidmar Minis, something like that. But he doesn't do any battle reports. All he's in it for is the love of the minis. And he's a real fantasy fan, so he likes the old school fantasy models, but he likes some of the 40k as well. But he's collecting so Rogue Trader was obviously 40k first edition, and they had, at that point, the orcs were called Space Orcs, and the minis for that are like these bonkers little lead orc minis, and he's collecting all of those and painting them up. He does some really, really good like painting tutorials that are really easy to understand, but the quality of his output is far in advance of what I'd ever expect myself to ever do. But it's still really enjoyable to actually watch the videos. Like the way he goes about it, it's really good.
I think the only sort of painting videos I actually watch are the Citadel ones. I only use Citadel paints. I know, Tom, obviously you use a lot of Vallejo. I know, John, you've got a lot of Vallejo. I don't know what you've got, Shane, but the only ones that I've used so far are Citadel. So I've used their tutorials, and a lot of them I think have helped out a lot on things that would, like John says, should appear very simple and obvious, but aren't. So they're the ones that I've used the most, Citadel, but I haven't watched too many recently because I'm trying to pretend that I know what I'm doing.
The Citadel ones, I know it's the very short clips in it on the app that was that when Duncan Rhodes was still doing it for them as well, though? Was he in some of them videos? Do you remember?
I can't remember. There's a fair few of them that do them. So
yeah.
It's definitely worth watching though, because a lot of them are very much aimed at the sort of thing that you want to achieve. So there's one recently they've done about bruises and stuff like that, and scars and scratches and all sorts of battle damage. So it's definitely worth watching. Obviously, I know that you want to do your battle damage ones as well, so it's worth having a look into them. But that's the only real one for painting that I watch.
The best one for me for lore is, I mean, just for straight up lore, I think it's that Lutin, isn't it? Because he's got so much stuff on there. And I know, you know, some people say he's boring or whatever, but I think if you want to listen, if you want to actually listen to the lore, then he does a really good job. He puts it all out there. You can understand what he's saying. It's to the point. And I think the videos are nice, long videos, aren't they, on every subject?
Yeah.
I thought he was pretty good, but also I like the.
What was his name? Sorry,
Lutin, is it?
Lutin09.
Lutin09. Yeah.
That's the one.
I don't think I've seen any of his. So I have to watch them.
They are.
There's loads of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He takes it like it's almost academic. Like the level of detail he goes into, it's like it's a very seriously researched sort of video when he does it. So it is really detailed and really good.
Yeah. I watched quite a lot of them. I think you sent me quite a lot when I first told you I was reading Eisenhorn, and then you bombarded me. I think quite a lot of those came through then. I remember enjoying them.
Are you talking to me? Yeah, I sent so many videos I don't even know anymore. Like, when we first started it, when we first started the Facebook group, wasn't it? And I was putting them all up. I think that I do believe that was him. Yeah,
they were helpful. And then with the lore, we were redecorating upstairs, and I listened to probably the first 20 episodes of Warhammer. I thought they were great because they literally. I went all the way back to the start, and they sort of did some opening episodes where they did a bit of an overview of everything, and then every episode that I listened to was like a different subject where they would just talk about. So this episode we're going to talk about what makes a space marine, and this is the orcs and Tyranids, and they just did some key episodes on all the major factions, which really helped because I think I was reading, like I said, I was reading the Eisenhorn. And as much as I was enjoying it, it just helped me get a bit of a context whenever something else was sort of mentioned and explained it. And obviously I was getting into it. So sort of understanding just what made everything tick and why everybody ran. I thought they were really, really helpful.
What was that? Is that a podcast as well, isn't it?
Yeah, they're podcast. They're a podcast. That's where I found them on iTunes, I think, at first. I haven't listened to them in a while just because I haven't had time. But to get into the level that I was at and sort of pushed me on the way to wanting to do modelling and stuff. They were really useful.
My favourite one for lore is Major Kill.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Major Kill. Yeah.
So he's basically John. Have you seen any of them? I think I'll send you some of the links as well. But I don't know if you've watched any of them. But it's basically just a young Aussie chap that does about 20-minute videos of whatever topic he decides to do. It's not very PC.
No.
No, it's not.
But it is very, very good. Very, very good. And it is nice bite-sized chunks where he just sort of, he half takes the piss, but he explains a lot of the lore behind it and why sort of people are the way that they are in the universe. So I've enjoyed a lot of his videos. I've learned a lot because of obviously what he says. He takes the piss out of it. I'm like, what on earth is he going on about? And then you look into it, do your own sort of research on the wiki, and then I think it's definitely one to watch. I think he's really good.
Yeah. Well, I was doing a bit of research earlier, and the kids were sat next to me doing the homeschooling, and I typed in chaos, and Major Kill came up. I was like, I'll click on this one. Yeah, I got 30 seconds in, and I had to like literally push Charlie on the floor. I was like, don't listen to it. I can't find the off switch. Stop listening.
Yeah.
So I'll go back to them later. But yeah,
he's
definitely dark one.
He's definitely an acquired taste, but as you said, even though he definitely takes it in a funny approach to it. You still learn. Like there's still an element of research that this guy's done to get there. He just doesn't really care how he presents it. It's quite funny.
And I think it's quite refreshing as well because, like you say, a lot of them are quite heavy and academic and matter of fact, whereas his is sort of very much like taking the piss a lot of the time, and I think that's quite refreshing compared to a lot of the other lore videos that you get out there.
Yeah, you don't have to take everything so seriously all the time. It's
No,
nice
at the
to
end of
get
the yeah,
it's nice to get your facts, and it's also nice to have a laugh as well.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, the others that I watch, I quite like 40k theories. So that's not too bad, and they've got a podcast that's pretty good as well. So they're pretty good. They're not as heavy as Luton, and the videos are again they're about 20 minutes, half an hour, and they're more asking questions. Like, and as I said, it's like fan theories within the 40k universe. They're quite entertaining. Major Kill, as we talked about, is an acquired taste, and one of the guys that I think Major Kill gets on with, which I shared a video on the group the other day, Baltimore.
That was great.
More videos.
Yeah, I was going to bring him up. Yeah,
he's as I said, he's pretty good as well. As he said himself, he's effectively just putting up slideshows and then speaking over them. But I don't know, there's something about his voice that when he talks about the lore, it's like a voice that's made for voiceover. So it's always easy to listen to what he's talking about.
He fits as well. It's funny how he's displayed himself as a servitor, though. Good. Of all the things you want to be, I don't know if that's one.
I suppose that's what he's doing. Isn't he? He's serving us. He's a servitor for the people.
Yeah. It pays off really well. And there was one I don't know if I shared it ages ago. It was like a chapter of Astartes landing essentially on Earth back in revolutionary days, and it's like going up against people with muskets, and this one Astartes is just walking towards them while they're all shooting at him, and he just gets there and goes, "Look, here's what's in the universe. You can either join us and we'll help you out, or obviously we'll crush you." But he's told it as like a really good sort of old tale. It's only like 15 minutes. I'll see if I can find it. But I thought it was really good the way he told that. It was really gripping for what it was.
And the good thing is as well with him, I mean, I've tried doing readings and stuff like that, even like 1 or 2 pages. And actually some of the takes I have to do are probably 30 takes, just so I don't get my words mixed up and wrong or come out the wrong pitch or whatever. So it is much more difficult than you think to actually go through doing something like that, especially when you're not paying for it. It's sort of free on YouTube.
Yeah,
so he does a good job of a lot of the short stories, especially the one I forget what it was called, but it was where the Emperor goes. Is it the Last Church? Maybe
Last Church. Yeah, a really good story, that one.
Really interesting story. If any of you guys out there actually want to look on a bit of lore from ancient Earth and the Emperor, how the churches were first dismantled. And I'd say definitely Voldemort and the Last Church. Really good story.
I'm writing that one down.
Yeah, that is a really good story. That's I think that's one of the short stories in the I think it's book 8 or 9 in the.
That was for Heresy.
Yeah, it is in the Heresy.
Yeah,
that'd be a good one.
Got your notepad there, then, John.
Always have a notepad. Always have a notepad. Otherwise, I can't remember what we're talking about. I need it. I need it for editing later as well. I've got to take some notes. Otherwise, I'll be here forever.
The only other lore one that I can think of that I liked but haven't listened to in ages is a guy called Wolf Lord Rowe. He doesn't just do Space Wolves; he does everything. But he basically reads excerpts from the books of the Black Library, but about key moments. So, like, he'll go over in detail, like when Rogel Dawn fought against what was the traitor Primarch? Is it Perturabo? I can't remember. But they have a big battle. Or when
spoilers.
Sorry. There's a lot of spoilers come out. Well, he does a lot of spoilers. That's the thing.
I'm joking.
But he does, if you want to hear someone analyze key moments in the Primarch's history and stuff like that, he does it all from Black Library source. So it's quite good. It's quite easy to listen to if you're painting. It's definitely not one to watch, but it's one to listen to. And that's again another one that's just free on YouTube. So he's worth a listen to if you just want to sit down and listen while you're painting.
Cool. Do you guys watch many battle reports trying to figure out how to play this game?
I'll be honest, I've got to start doing that, but I just can't get into them. I really just can't. My mind just switches off every time I put them on. So I'm relying on you guys to learn it and then just tell me.
Well, I was going to say for that exact reason, Tommy, because I always look at the battle reports, and every one you see is like 2 hours long, right? And it's like I haven't got time to sit there and pay attention to a 2 hour long video. When I'm painting, I want to listen. I don't want to watch. And there's an Australian guy who runs a channel called Death from Above. He hasn't got many followers, but he's got enough. And he does battle reports, but they're edited down to the bare minimum, and they're like 25 minutes to 40 minutes tops.
What was that name again?
So it's Death from Above. It's all on YouTube, and he's got his own, like, he normally plays either Blood Angels, Space Wolves, Tyranids, or Death Guard. And it's him and a mate, and you don't see any of them actually moving the models. It's literally just shots in between turns explaining what's happened, rather than going into detail. But it's
exactly what you want to see, isn't it?
It's a very quick way of seeing a battle report plan out. So if you don't have much time and you just want to get a quick overview when you're doing battle reports, Death from Above is a really good channel for that.
Yeah, look him up, man.
The only one I really watch is Tabletop Titans, because I like the way they're set out, because before they battle, they'll have like a pan over their army, because I've watched a few but they just sort of start playing, and you can't really get involved, or well, I can't sort of hook into it. So they sort of lay out and they actually tell you what the figures are, because there's so many that you guys know from earlier. I'm asking you to tell me the names of the things that you were sending me, because they're the same to me.
Shocked me actually when I sent you a Terminator and you said, "And what's this?"
Well, I don't know. I don't have any Terminators. I don't know, so I have to make sure, because otherwise I'll put it up as something else later. But yeah, so they go through it and they actually tell you what stuff is and the rules. And then when they announced sort of all the new codex and 9th edition, they had a series, I don't know if it's still going on, where they just had sort of the armies that have been updated and how they've been affected, and ran a few battles. And actually I was watching them. The problem is I don't know how to play the game, so I was enjoying watching them play, but they were just rolling dice. But no, I quite like them. There might be other ones that are good. There was like I don't know the name of it, but there was a father and son homemade video, and they had the First Strike battle box, and they played, and I sort of followed along on my own, rolling dice with a couple of figures on the sprue when I first got it out, just because I was keen to have a go. And they were pretty good, but obviously they're going to be out of date now because it's all moved on.
What was that first one? What was the first person you said there?
Tabletop Titans.
That's the one. Yeah.
They're
so
pretty
I really
big.
Start watching something to get used to it, because otherwise, because you two actually have watched quite a few now, haven't you? And obviously, Shane, you watched quite a few as well.
Yeah.
So I think you're streets ahead of me in the actual playing of the game. So,
well,
a good one to watch is playing Wargaming. Play on. They are really good. Yeah. I'm pretty sure it's Play on Wargaming. They are really good, and their battle reports, again, they're not War and Peace. They're very much like succinct, and they probably run to about 40 minutes to an hour. But the production value on those is better than any one that I've ever seen. It is literally like watching esports.
It is. It's like TV, isn't it? It's that level of quality.
It is so good. They've done it really, really well, and they have sort of commentary with sort of like an actual commentator doing it, and then you got the two players, and then they have sort of interviews throughout saying this is what I was thinking, or this is what was going on, like this is what's going through my head. They've got sort of like angles from above, and then it's really, the production value makes it just sort of come to life a lot more. And they are absolutely brilliant. I think they're the best one that I've ever seen by a country mile.
I think it was on that channel that I watched that Kill Team playthrough, or watched the Kill Team playthrough, where they there's one guy that is like effectively the champion, as it were, and then some other guy comes along and says it's like the challenger, and it's only about 40 minutes for the Kill Team video. And if the challenger wins, he gets to take any one of his like Space Marine squads, because this guy's got like thousands of Space Marines. And in the one I watched, the guy ran over him with a steamroller. I was just like, don't do that. It's it is good. The production quality is amazing on that one.
definitely worth watching. They are, light years ahead of a lot of the other ones.
Mm.
The only other one that I sort of watch occasionally, and I was subscribed to previously, is MWG Mini Wargaming.
Yeah, that's
really
what we
good.
watched on my place, Dave, isn't it? Is that the one you put on?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So again, they show the armies beforehand, and it is good. And it is a good pace. And the thing I like most about them is they do very much sort of like the campaign, where they do a series, and they do sort of like a battle that leads to another battle, and so on and so forth. And you can get quite invested in that, but unfortunately, you got to sort of subscribe to them with their own private vault, which obviously costs a monthly subscription. And if I had a bit more money, then perhaps I would. But that's the only sort of issue that I have with that. But they are really good as well, just not to the same level as Play On. Definitely not.
So as I said, the other one I talked about them earlier already is Midwinter Minis for if you want a easy starter battle report. Because he will use just the get started box sets, so something that any one of us could pick up. So it's a bit like that First Strike video, and really explain what's happening in each turn, so you actually understand what's happening. And because it's only a small army, it's quite a quick report. And then the other one I watched that's a bit more detailed. It's probably one of the only longer form ones I watch. Is a guy called Winters SEO.
I've seen a couple of his as well. They are good. Yeah.
What I like about him is that he's a big narrative player, so he loves the stories and the lore about the universe. And so before the battle starts, he's explaining what's happening. Like, there's an orc encampment and it's being assaulted by like units of Space Marines or Ultramarines from his homebrew chapter, and he's got lore and stories about all his own characters. So like there's Chaplain Snow, and he's got a backstory, and you learn it all when you watch other videos in this channel. And it's just really well thought through battle reports with like a reason the battle's happening, and so for that it makes it quite entertaining. You get quite invested in the narrative as well as the actual battle report, so that's really good. Then
I think another thing with those ones with him is that he just seems to have his mates around, and they're just having a real good time as well, which makes it a bit more interesting as well. I think it's because that's what it's all about at the end of the day, is that you just come around and have a good laugh. And I think that he shows that side of it really well in his videos, definitely.
It does. It's easy to watch the hour and a half it might be on, because, as you said, you actually feel like quite relaxed, like you're at a mate's house watching them play the game. So it's quite good in that regard. And then if you really want, or one that I found that's really detailed, is Tabletop Tactics. And they're okay, but they can be a bit intense. So they will go into the minutiae, and they can have a battle report that might be an hour on another channel, but be 2.5 hours on their channel. And that's because they go through how they built their army list out, close-ups of all the miniatures, going right into the details of why they're doing certain tactics and why they're doing certain things at certain times. And it's great for learning, but it is a big time investment.
What were they called?
They're Tabletop Tactics.
Okay.
Also, some of the characters, some of the guys that run it, they can be challenging characters to get to handle over a 2-hour period. Some of them are right on the far end of spectrum of nerd.
Says the 4 people doing a Warhammer podcast.
No, that's it.
Cool. Anything else anybody's got?
No, that's all mine. Actually, there is one other guy who might be worth a shout out. Is Darren Latham. I'm sure you've all probably, or some of you have heard of him. He's sort of similar to Duncan Rhodes. He's goes through things quite basically, and he's very easy to follow. So if anyone is looking for someone to look up, then look up him.
So I'm going to lay out a choice for all of you. You've got a few options. You can either elect to become a volunteer to become a servitor whose only job is to clear out clogs and blockages in the sewer, or you're going to pick a chaos god and you're going to fight for them and take on their whatever comes with that. So who wants to go first?
I'll go first. 100% Khorne. Straight up. Khorne. Blood for the blood god, man. Come on. I mean, there's honour in Khorne. He's actually the god of martial honour, Yeah. It's actually, He's not just crazy. He's not just Slanesh, filthy, perverted. He's just go out there.
Well, wait a minute.
Best warrior
Don't
you
stop
can.
bad mouthing Slanesh.
Yeah, I know. He's one of them. Filthy, tentacle-ridden freak.
Dave, your choice has been made for you then already.
Yeah, it's always going to be Slanesh. I said to you before, any god that's been birthed through fucking and debauchery is something I can get behind. 100%.
What about you, Shane?
Well, I'm going to call you up on the servitor point first of all, because if I was that servitor, I wouldn't know what I was doing anyway. I'd just program to do it. So fine. I'm blocking toilets. But I'm not.
No. I forgot to tell you I forgot to read the fine print. They said you're going to keep your cognability. You're going to know exactly what you're doing, but you just can't control it.
In that case, then I'll go for the most difficult to pronounce chaos god, Zinch or Titsnitch or whatever other variation you want to use. But yeah, I would go with Zinch just because there are arguments that could he be the most powerful chaos god possibly, because of all of his machinations and planning and Machiavellian schemes, and the fact that he often nerfs himself just to keep the great game going longer. I just like the idea that even every minute action could be controlled by this Lord of Change. So that's who I'm going to go with, Zinch.
Cool. And hopefully it will become as no surprise. No, I'm not actually going to pick Nurgle at all. I would go for Khorne as well, 100%. There's no way
Don't fancy Nobrot then, John?
No. I don't mind painting miniatures with Nobrot, but I don't fancy Nobrot myself.
Not again, anyway.
No. No, I definitely Khorne. I think I could just sign up to kill, and whether I manage to kill a few people or I just die straight away, I've pleased him. There we go. I haven't got to do anything, be mutated in any way. I haven't got to smell like Nobrot. And I don't think I'd be smart enough to work for Titsnitch. I'll just get confused. One plot in and I'm done. Yeah.
I think Khorne would be the easiest one to follow.
Exactly.
Simply kill or be killed. At the end of the day, that's it. And it's quite, straightforward.
And either way, he's happy with you. You've done it. Doesn't matter if you just died in the first. You just take one step out of that battle bus and you're dead.
As long as you're bleeding, that's fine.
Yeah, it's blood for the blood god. Doesn't matter whose it is.
Exactly.
Slanesh has definitely got to be the most fun of all four.
You say
100%.
That.
Yeah, but
until it goes too far. But yeah.
Wait until you read about the Emperor's Children in the Heresy. Now, I won't go into spoilers, but just wait until you read about them and what they do to themselves, and then tell me it sounds fun.
Yeah.
Okay.
If you're an Astartes, you might stand a chance, but Dave turning into one of Slanesh's chosen, I don't think you're going to last very long. I think it might feel good, but
not very nice.
It doesn't. For a mere mortal, I don't think they fare too well, to be honest.
Fucked to death in 24 hours, I reckon, for Dave.
I think of worse ways to go, to be fair.
Yeah.
No, not you fucking. You being fucked.
Okay, yeah, maybe not.
Anyway, moving swiftly on.
Yeah.
So what
can you say to that?
Yeah, I was going to say. So on that, which god would you rather follow the least? That was one of the other questions. Was it? Well, like I was going to say, John, you've said you've besmirched the good name of Nurgle.
You're still on Slanesh.
Oh no, I know. That's it. To see playing games in my head. It made me say Gurgle. Anyway, who would you follow least then?
Oh no, I think I'd follow least Titsnitch, or however you want to say it, just because I don't know. It's a bit of a cop out. I think he is. He's the god of change and surprise. I feel like magic. Yeah.
I think you've got to get deeper into it. I'm saying I don't think you know enough about him to make that call.
Well, I definitely don't. Just on the base layer of the three, I know the least about him. So why would I follow him? I get Nurgle. You might stink, but you'll enjoy it. And then, like Dave says, if you're gonna go out, why not get fucked to death?
Yeah, fair enough.
Nurgle's just got to be the worst. Yeah, I've smelt dead bodies. I don't want to do that again. Don't want to do that for a lifetime. No.
I can't say I've done that, Dave, but I'm with you on Nurgle. That'd be my least favourite. I don't fancy rotting away, no matter how much they tell me it's the right thing to do.
Yeah, no way.
Toss up for me between Slanesh and Nurgle. I think, like you guys say, Nurgle would just be filthy. To look down and see yourself covered in scabs and boils and have no knob or whatever the fuck's wrong with them, like I don't want that. But Slanesh would fucking scare me more. I think being around that shit is just crazy, like on next level. Nurgle, you're filthy, right? Fair enough. You're like a bum, a hobo. You're nothing, but you enjoy it because you got Slanesh's blessing. Nurgle's blessing.
Yeah.
Slanesh, that's just scary on a different level. No.
You've talked yourself into Slanesh. That's the way. I'm not doing Slanesh.
Well, it's the problem. The problem is that everything that they bring just seems to have extra spikes on it. That's the worst part.
Yeah, it's.
We'll leave that at that. There's no reply to that.
Sorry, stunned silence.
Yeah.
I've never heard Slanesh summed up better than that ever.
What's that?
You've got spikes on. Basically.
I know. Yeah. It's just one extreme too far, I think. Right, let's move on.
I don't even know what's going on anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, nor do I. Right, what do we want to? Who wants to bring us back to reality? And,
So
what do we?
We're still on Chaos Gods, aren't we?
Yeah, we're still on Chaos Gods.
I don't know. Have any of you guys ever heard about any of the lesser Chaos Gods, like outside of the four? Like the only one I can think of that's in a few YouTube channels and lore and stuff like that is Malice. Have you ever hear about any of the sub gods?
That was the Aussie guy that I clicked on today because I was looking up Chaos Gods and it said, the fifth Chaos God.
Yeah.
Like I said, I only got 30 seconds into it and I had to turn it off. So no, I don't. Other than seeing there was a fifth one, I don't know nothing about it.
So the theory is that there's actually in the warp, you've got your four big gods who are playing the what do they call it, the Great Game, where for them it's just vying for power over eternity. They don't really care, and apparently it's like if Khorne really wanted to, he could take out Slanesh, but he doesn't because Tzeentch or Titsnich is keeping things in balance because he just wants to keep playing the Great Game. And in the warp, there are these entities that we would still consider, as humanity, we would still consider as gods. And one of them that they say GW was originally developing was a chaos god called Malice. That was effectively a weaker. It was a bit like Khorne, but everything was done for hate rather than for war or martial honor. It was just a god that was all about hate and just pure hatred for each other. And it still floats around every now and then. You can find little snippets of this god or this entity in some of the lore, but it's never been fully developed. And apparently there's a few more entities that are knocking around, and then there's some theories out there about good chaos gods, which you could argue that the Emperor is one, but we won't pull that thread too much right now.
You could argue that any of them are technically good to a certain extent, though, can't you?
Yeah.
Go on, then, Dave.
Yeah,
let's hear the theory on Slanesh.
You look at Nurgle. He's the Lord of God. Yeah, so he gives rebirth, doesn't it? You can't have new life if you don't have a life come to an end. That's the whole point of that, and the decomposition and stuff is just a shitty side effect. And then, like you say, Titsnich or Tzeentch or whatever his name is, Lord of Change magic. There is a lot of good there, I think, in theory as well. With Khorne, you say martial honor, Slanesh. The thing is, I think Slanesh is the most relatable.
What?
Because
all right, this is bold.
Because
is yours covered in spikes? Is it, Dave?
Because I can see why it's sort of, because obviously he was created for the fall of the Eldari, because they just had chances to just do whatever they wanted, and they sought pleasure. Everyone seeks pleasure over pain to an extent, and that's obviously how he was made, how he's created, and that's how his sort of followers follow him, because they want to seek that pleasure over pain. They want to have that sort of that perfection over things. That's why Fulgrim,
So rather than
because he wanted perfection, he was vainglorious. So, sorry,
rather than being good, he's more like you say, relatable.
Well, yeah, I'd say relatable. The Slanesh is definitely, I think, is the most relatable rather than good. But
who doesn't want to rip their own skin off when they're having sex? That's completely relatable.
I think that's the trouble with Slanesh. It starts off all.
It starts off sounding really good,
easy,
and then
nice and vanilla.
That's the thing. Is it, obviously it gets to further excess as sort of things become less interesting.
So when
again, I think it is relatable.
When you're reincarnated, you're going to be a praying mantis. Is that right?
Well, think of worse things.
Yeah.
Do you not think?
No.
No, done there.
Well, so anyway, 3 out of 4, Dave, not bad. You proved that 3 out of 4 of them could be considered a little bit decent. Not the 4th.
No. It's the most fun, though.
Most fun for a very short period of time.
Very short period.
For you, maybe.
Oh dear.
So I sort of interrupted you there, Shane.
Do you know what? I can't remember what I was saying.
You were saying about the lesser chaos gods.
Oh, that was it. Oh, and potentially. Oh, that was it. I was saying there's the potential that there's some good ones out there, and whether the Emperor is deemed a god of chaos or a god at all, and whether he would be classed as a good chaos god, which some people sort of argue he potentially is. And then
he's definitely a god.
He's
definitely a god.
I mean,
as a Black Templar, he's definitely a god.
Oh, really? Well, jumping into like the lore and stuff, because I've just finished Mechanicum, so they worship him to a point because he's in the beginning of that book. He turns up on the planet and one of the Knights machines as a gammy knee, and he touches it and heals it just by touch. So if that's true and isn't just an interpretation, he obviously has a bit of godlike power to him, doesn't he?
They worship him with something different, though, don't they? Without going into it too much, they worship him as the Omnissiah, like the machine god, because he's a man of science and all that, so he can sort of get away with, looking like he could be that potentially.
So do you think that the knight got confused from he just touched my knee? Actually, he pulled out a screwdriver and just tightened up some bolts and a bit of oil. They just left that part out.
He's the most potent psycho in the history of mankind, and that's known of, I think, at that point especially. So he can pretty much do anything with his mind anyway. Like they wouldn't know.
He's the first handyman. So obviously, like going into sort of traitor legions, all of the traitor legions clearly have turned to chaos.
Yeah.
Do they all just pick one god and stick to it, or does anybody worship more than one?
So, well, Horus is Chaos Undivided, as is Abaddon later on, the Black Legion. So they're a representation of chaos as a whole. They don't worship one chaos god; they're Chaos Undivided.
Okay.
Whereas like the Death Guard or Mortarion, he is his Nurgle is his that's his patron god, and like Fulgrim it's Slanesh. Yeah. And Magnus, it's Tzeentch. But with the Black Legion, they're Chaos Undivided. So they like that's why, like, I suppose a Chaos army can be as flexible. We'll get into the building of armies and stuff like that outside of the lore. A Black Legion army, for example, can be really flexible because it can have detachments of Death Guard or Thousand Sons or World Eaters, as well as standard units, because it doesn't have to follow one or the other. And the Alpha Legion, they didn't fall to a particular god, did they? Or did they?
I don't know. I'm not that far.
I just going by the books that I've read. I don't know if this is spoilers. If there is, maybe sorry or whatever. But where I read up to, they were falling to chaos, so to speak, on Horus's side, but for the purposes of helping what the Emperor wanted in the first place, which was the destruction of mankind. The destruction of chaos, which you need to destroy mankind in order for that to happen.
Yeah.
So they were sort of on the wrong side, or I say the wrong side, but they were sort of on the side of chaos. But I don't remember them picking any gods, at least not where I'm up to yet. Anyway, I think they've still got their own plans and their own ideas of what side they're on, I suppose.
So I think they're, if they are even chaos, which is one of those ones with the Alpha Legion, like what are they up to? They would be undivided. And I know, is it the Iron Warriors? I think it's or the Iron Hands. It's one of the two. No, it's the Iron Warriors, isn't it? The Iron Hands are loyalist.
Yeah.
The Iron Warriors, I think they're chaos undivided as well, because they don't, they eschew all of like the mutations that all of the other traitor legions have got, because they don't want like the chaos mutations. They just want to be, this still this chapter. They're just not loyalists. They're traitors, but they also don't necessarily follow one particular chaos god.
I know that they lean very slightly towards Khorne. I think I'm not saying that they follow him, but they've got a lot of berserkers in the army that have just fallen to bloodlust, and that's only from the one book that I read about them, which I can't even remember what it's called. But I know that if they're leaning towards any side, I think they were pretty much it was saying it was Khorne, but
because the World Eaters are definitely Khorne, aren't they?
Yeah, Angron. Yeah, he's like the embodiment of Khorne.
That's my choice then. I'd pick Chaos Undivided rather than get mutated or anything. I'll just be a bad guy, but I'll keep myself to myself, and that way I don't have to get hurt.
So you'd keep up being unsociable like now, just be a bad guy as well, yeah.
Yeah, I just pull faces at people walking past my window, hoping they'll trip over. There you go. That's my chaos. Now I get left alone then.
See, that sounds a bit like you're into Zinch. You're scheming for them to trip over outside your house.
No. I'm not going to influence it anyway.
Turn you.
It'd
just be a good day if it happens. Oh dear. So if someone's from a loyalist legion, and how often do people turn to chaos from loyalist legions? Does anybody know?
Well, so you've got some of the successor chapters, like I think it's the Red Corsairs. I think it is a good example where they turned, but they didn't. They turned to chaos as a whole, as opposed to turning to a particular god. And then I think, and I'm not sure about this, I'd have to look into it. I think they end up more favouring Khorne just because of their chapter style.
Right.
So they were a chapter that is about martial pride, and they fell away from the Emperor's light, as it were, and so get called traitor. And I think when that happens, a chapter's only real choice is to either they have to go renegade, and that normally ends up meaning that they become a chaos warband, even if they're not necessarily followers of chaos. They end up down that path anyway.
Has anyone from do we know? Has anyone from like a major legion, just a sole sort of character turned?
To be honest, I can't remember reading any books where they have. I'm sure it must have happened because the demons obviously they have the power to take over someone's body. So I'm assuming it must have happened at some point. But
yeah, I'd be interested to read something like that, even if it's just a short story. There may be a book out that we just none of us know about, but that'd be quite interesting.
Like we were talking about it in the last pod, the Space Marine game on PS3, where that Inquisitor gets taken over by a chaos entity, doesn't he? And what's it called? The Ultramarine that you play as at the end of it, doesn't he get taken away?
Yeah,
I mean, obviously he never gets taken over, but he gets taken away as if he has been taken over.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because he could resist the chaos touch, wasn't it? He had that little vial of stuff, and he resisted it. So they thought, obviously, that he's got to be chaos himself.
Yeah, that's it.
Would have loved the second game of that, man. That would have been great. But
I know,
definitely.
I keep looking out now to try and find out. Like, I just want them to release it on like the PlayStation Store so that I can buy it off it, play it on PS4. Like, surely they can make it work, because I love that
a
game.
remastered version. Yeah,
Yeah, I thought that game was amazing.
apparently it's still got quite a following on Steam and on PS4, PS3.
We'll have to check it out. I've never played it.
It's a really good game.
Yeah, I think it's one of the best Warhammer 40k games there is.
And the online side of it was awesome as well. Like I say, if you had a group of guys that you was all into it together, you could start your own chapter sort of thing and all wear the same colours.
Yeah.
So it was really cool. But
Good.
yeah, I think a lot of them ones. Remember the ones I used to play online with Dave? My Raven Guard buddies. They all still play on it because I'm still friends with them on the PS4. So they're all still playing. So it must be still running on the PS3.
Yeah.
I'm assuming. The multiplayer and online and all that.
Must be a good game. People are still going to it now.
Well, I think again that's because there's not anything that's comparable. There's nothing else that is like that that's been released since. So you're going to stick with it, aren't you?
Mm.
So, and if the servers are still running, then I would still do it if I still had a PS3, if I'm honest, because I've really enjoyed it. Really enjoyed it.
So, obviously, we said the traitor legions and what gods they're assigned to. So, if the last loyalist legions were to turn, who do you think they're most likely to turn to? Because who else would suit going to Nurgle? Because I feel like Nurgle was written for the Death Guard, or Death Guard were written for Nurgle specifically. So I couldn't picture somebody else saying, "Oh yeah, we're also a bunch of grotty buggers. We'll go to him as well."
Well, just going by their homeworld, I mean, I know they're pretty much, if anyone, the Blood Angels would fall to Khorne. Because look, but also their home. I think their homeworld is it the moon? What the Bowl second moon or something? Is literally just overridden by like mutation and mutants and filthy like scumbag, derelict people. So that's where Sanguinius come from, and he helped banish the mutants and helped out the regular people who were still all filthy and like sore ridden. So maybe them if they don't go to Khorne, but I can't think of any others.
Oh, do you know who might do? The Dark Angels, because wasn't their homeworld Caliban? Didn't they have Nurgle's taint?
I think it pretty much had taint of everything that I can remember.
Might have done, but that they could potentially go Nurgle because they're from like a very
they're from a forest world, aren't they?
Yeah.
It was
like
like
Chaos Death World, basically.
Yeah, it was more foresty because Descent of Angels. It just reminded me the way they said it was literally just forest, and then the humans obviously made their clearings where they had their settlements. It just reminded me of playing Age of Empires, where you start off with one villager in the middle of the woods.
That's it,
and you have to go from there. But I don't know if they had a Nurgly feel to them. Yeah, because you couldn't imagine the Ultramarines turning into Nurgle, but that would be a cool twist.
I reckon they would probably. I reckon they would either fall to Tzeentch because of the planning element of it.
Yeah, and tactical side of things.
Yeah, or like the Emperor's Children, Slaanesh, but not knowing they've done it because they're seeking martial perfection.
Yeah,
they've fallen to it that way.
They're quite vain.
They've got that sort of Roman vibe to them as well, haven't they? And without the Romans were always quite a bit into
decadent
excess, decadent. So
in all honesty, I think the Chaos Gods would be the only legion where they'd just say, "We're not having you. You're too boring." Don't tell Bradley I said that.
You offend a lot of people now.
I mean, you've got quite a lot of the other ones that people thought were gonna actually go to Chaos, haven't you? Like the White Scars and people like that. But I think a lot of them, they'd probably just go to Chaos Undivided, like the Scars, because they're quite unique. They like to be individual, don't they? They don't like to join up with other chapters. They like to keep themselves to themselves in their own ways, how they are. So I could see them going to Chaos Undivided, but there's no one that really sticks out for me that would.
No.
I think the Space Wolves would probably end up. They feel like they would probably end up in Khorne's.
I'd say
books.
so. Yeah,
that's good.
Yeah.
Good call.
Well, yeah. I mean, I think second to Slaanesh because they do like a drink and a feast, don't they? So they have their own level of excess there.
They shag, don't they? As well. They're the only legion to actually shag, apparently.
Yeah.
Well, then there you go. I mean, that's it.
Other than Girly Man gets some Slaanesh not Slanesh.
Eldari.
Dara,
Yeah.
yeah.
So he's on his way. So yeah.
Yeah, but what man doesn't have a thing for pointy ears on a woman? Ever since I watched Lord of the Rings,
most
I
of
was
us.
like,
You just love Legolas.
oh yeah, guys, the blue eyes, man, blue contact lenses on Orlando.
Mm.
I mean, there is other gods as well, aren't there? I mean, like Shane alluded to having the lesser chaos gods, but there's other gods as well, isn't there? Like the ones the elves, or say the elves, the Eldari. I know, the pointy ears on the brain now. The one the Eldari used to, what was it? Is it Asherin or something like that? I don't know if that's in fantasy or.
There's a few of them, isn't there? Because there's there's Cain, who is like their war god, who's like the fiery avatar of Cain is the war god. Then there's
one that's being held captive by Slanesh, and that's the one I'm in my mind, but I can't think of the name.
Wasn't it? No, because it was being held captive by Slanesh, and then Nurgle took them from Slanesh.
Yep. Because
I can't remember their name.
That's all part
Just
of the
to say I can.
Chaos God's greater game.
Yeah. You got the Harlequin one as well, the laughing one. Obviously, you get the Harlequins that follow them. I can't remember that name either. You got Gork and Mork for the Orcs.
Of course.
We have.
Yeah.
You got the Catan as well, who was sort of almost pretty much gods. I mean, they was as powerful as the Emperor, if not more powerful.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
The old ones who disappeared. Yeah.
Didn't the old ones create the Orcs and the Eldari as well?
That's it. Yeah. So they created both of them, and then like left after they got into the war with the Satan and the Necron.
Yeah.
That was the war in heaven. Right? That was the that was what they called the war in heaven, wasn't it? And then from there, because they reckon, so it depends which timelines you follow. Because one theory is that Khorne existed, from like started its existence in the first medieval battles on Earth, like, and that's where Khorne was born into the warp. Whereas, as I said, Slanesh to come into existence, it was the death cry
fall of the Eldari.
But then, if you go into the warp itself, you've got other people that will then start saying that actually, because it's a timeless expanse, Slanesh has always existed. It's just in our reality, where she or he exists is based on the fall of the Elder. But in the warp, Slanesh has always been there. And so there's this real headfuck in terms of what timeline you're working to in real space versus what's happening in the warp, and how long these guys have been about. And it's similar for Nurgle, right? Nurgle existed as soon as death and disease came about. So he's been knocking around the same sort of amount of time as Khorne. So they're like the older of the gods, but only old in real space. In the warp, they're as old as each other because they've always existed or they haven't.
Yeah.
So it's a real, as I said, headfuck.
Did you just break your chair, John?
No. I'll just move in. Is it ever covered in any lore anywhere? But are gods on Earth ever brought up on, like, how were they like disproven or just no, they're just not mentioned or whatever?
There is. I can't remember what book it's in, but there is one book in which they mention that pretty much the Emperor himself may have started the belief in what we see as God, as in like Christian and Catholic and all that type of thing.
Yeah.
He used to walk battlefields and things like this, and supposedly people that have been dying have seen this light coming towards them, this amazing figure and all that. And they've started saying, "Oh, I've seen God," and they've started up all this nonsense about it, and it's always been the Emperor. Right. So it's almost like he started his own religion, which then he stopped because he then said he doesn't want to be seen as a god and all that, and he wanted science to go forward. So it's pretty much like they've always worshipped him, humanity, because he's been around for pretty much forever. Hasn't he?
He's perpetual. So.
Early days, so, yeah.
Fair enough. Question answered.
Well, they do cover the theory of there is somewhere, I don't know where it comes up, but how the Emperor came about. Have you heard this, Tommy?
I've heard lots of stuff.
The one about all the druids kind of sacrificing themselves.
Yeah, that was the first thing I
Yeah.
heard of how, or the main one I heard of how the Emperor come about in the first place, which was everyone casting themselves, or basically killing themselves, mass suicide, but casting their like spirits into the wall to be reborn as one. But then apparently some people say that it wasn't like that anymore, or there's other theories. I'm not sure, to be honest.
I don't know. That's the one I've heard.
That's the one I heard as well.
Yeah, makes the most sense, I suppose, because they I think they was like shamans, like you
That's
said.
it. Yeah.
And
That's it.
they could sort of like sense what was coming in the future, and they knew they needed this great leader or whatever. So yeah, that worked out well for them, didn't it?
Well, there's that theory, isn't there, that because who is it that follows that? There's a subsect in the Imperium that follows it, that they now think that actually we've got to kill the Emperor so that he can actually be reborn again.
Is that the Star Child theory or something?
It might be. But there's because I'm sure I've read it somewhere that Cypher, the Dark Angels,
which I don't know much about, but yeah, I know who you're talking about.
Apparently, again, and I haven't read any of this. This might be spoiler. Right? This is just stuff I've picked up in different places when I've been doing the standard Googling research. Is that like when Gilliman comes back, he captures Cypher as part of it, just happens to capture him as part of the Indomitus, and Cypher's like, or he corners him and says, I'll let you come. I'll take you in. I'll take you back to the Emperor. That was the condition of him surrendering. And the idea was that apparently Cypher was going to go back to pull the plug on the Emperor, because then the Emperor can be reborn. And then there's another theory that actually when the Astronomicon went out, when Gilliman went in after being reawoken, he was actually turning the plug off, again, because he couldn't see his father in that state. But all of that is theory. None of it's confirmed. It's none of it's canon. It's just ideas that people have had.
It's intriguing on what way they'll actually go in the end, isn't it? After the Siege of Terror's over and all that stuff, what's the next big deal?
Yeah. They got to.
I think he'll come back.
You think the Emperor will come back?
I think so.
I think they've got to be careful they get it right, because they've got to balance keeping the narrative going, in progressing it, but also keeping their the cash cow going, because if they make it too definitive and they go the wrong way, it's just going to piss a load of people off. It's like Warhammer Fantasy Battle and the End Times, and then moving into Age of Sigmar. They lost so many people when they ended Warhammer Fantasy the way they did and brought in Sigmar, because it just pissed a load of players off. So they got to be really careful about how they are going to go and bring the Big E back. How they do it. Yeah.
If they do bring him back, it'll be a long, long, long time. I think they're going to go through. If they're going to go for anything, it'll be all the Primarchs next, all returning at some point, so they can have a model out. They can sell loads of models. Literally go through all of them, and then maybe if they get stuck for ideas. I mean, at the end of the day, like we said before in the last podcast, it is a business, isn't it? And they're all in it for the money, or they have to be. Yeah. And we're the idiots to buy the stuff, and I'm sure we'll be buying it all once again. I wouldn't mind getting a Sanguinius, but
Yeah, I suppose as well. They've, like you say, they can bring a Primarch back at a time. The ones that it makes the most sense that haven't been killed off on the page, that are just missing. Bring those ones back at first and see what the reaction is. Because if they brought someone back who's not dead, who was just missing, and everyone hates it, then they're never going to bring back the Emperor, are they? Or they might just roll on and not give a toss. Because a lot of the times, you get people complain no matter what, don't they? They say, "Oh, we want our Primarch back," and then they'll bring it back, and the other half say, "We didn't want him back. We'd like to see how it was." So you're never going to please everybody.
Now Girlyman's back, though, I think that they need to have a couple more loyalist Primarchs. So obviously you've got Morsara, you've got Magnus. Sorry.
So they got that interaction between the brothers and all that, haven't they?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I think Lehman Russ will be the next one.
Right. See, I've heard theories it's going to be the Lion.
Yeah, same.
Because he's just in stasis in the rock, isn't he? Where's Yagatai? He's like Lehman, isn't he? He's running around the Eye of Terror somewhere, isn't he?
Yes.
I think because Lehman Russ was apparently imprisoned in the Eye of Terror, or That's what they say. Apparently, one of the gods has got him, or somebody got him locked away. That's what they've alluded to in a couple of books, but it's never gone into anything further than that. So, don't know who that could be.
Interesting. Be some good theories for later podcasts, I think, that we've come up with today.
I mean, when we actually get our shit together and know what we're talking about, yeah.
Yeah, that's why I said. When I say later, I mean about this time next year when we've read a few more books and and watched a few more YouTube videos. Cool. Right, that's all from us. So if you give us a like and a subscribe, jump onto Instagram if you want to speak to us and see what our models are that we've been painting. I'm Falconite Eddie on Instagram. Dave, you are?
Namakaj Crusade.
Tom?
At Average Painter 85.
Are you sure about that?
Yeah, no, I'm not, to be honest. You know what? I've got 2 accounts on there, so I was thinking which one's... Oh, yeah. At Average Painter 85.
Cool. And Shane?
Adeptus_Mansfieldicus.
Cool. And if you Google Iron and Ceramite, you'll find us on everything else. Brilliant. So that's all from us. Let us know what you thought in the comments. And for this time, that is Exterminatus.
As always, we would like to thank you for listening to our Iron and Ceramite podcast. If you liked us, then you can also find us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and any other good podcast services. Just remember, in the grim darkness of the far future, there is only war.
Cool.
There you go. We're up and running.
Cool. All right, let's see if I can do it in less than 16 takes this time.
That's it.
Thanks for your whatever the word is. Hi everyone, welcome to the Iron and Ceramite podcast. I'm going to start that again. Cool.
Cool.
Right, should we?
Cool. Well, what was the last thing we was going to talk about? Was there something else on the itinerary? Or was it just? Oh no, it's just plugging stuff.
Yeah, that's the last bit. So yeah, I don't know if anyone's got any other.
Again.
Yeah.
No, yeah, it's good, man. But yeah, I think we've gone on for quite a while now, haven't we? So
Yeah, it's been all right.
We'll have enough gibberish to put together.
Okay, so that's all from us from this week. If you've liked anything that we've said, oh dear.
That's all from us.
All right.
Sorry.
All right. For this time, that is Exterminatus. Cool. Oh, that was all right.
Good work.
Yeah, she's
cool.
good. I think